Dr. Jancie Johnson-Dias.
We don't know enough about the combination of environmental factors and biological factors that produce some of these things. So the best we can do is to take a preventative approach. Right now, I think we take an emergency room approach, which is unhelpful, to say the least. And when I see a film like this, it allows us to remember that we are not exempt from the challenges that he faced.
Yes.
But we are all going to be affected if we do not attend to young people very early on. The mother thought that she could love this illness away. And I think that for many of us, that seems to be the answer. And I think love is an important part of the dealing with the illness, but the exercise of love may include seeking professional help and support, changing the diet, limiting certain things, increasing certain things. And so I'm hoping that the conversations we have about mental well-being will actually include wellness and extend to illness, because we do that with physical health.
So in situations like this, it's a very serious issue that we take on, but at the same time, it has to be entertaining. So a lot of work went into the different personalities that needed to be portrayed. I remember leaving set at the end of the day exhausted. That's the other aspect of all that I just said.
Yes,
Then there's Rodney Gilbert. A dynamic acting coach with his own mental illness. First of all, may Allah be pleased with him. You know, he passed on. Dynamic guy though, man. And he really got me each day on set, one-on-one, made sure I was honed in no matter what was going on in my world. He brought whatever talent you might have seen, he brought that out of me, so I thank God for that.
See, like 122, that was your objective, and you drop your papers. Do you drop them because you're disorganized, or do you drop them because there's people talking to you up here? You know, it's like, all right? Otherwise, you're a normal man.
Gotcha.
And this is a normal movie, and we'll go get Denzel Washington.
From going from, you know, the 6-year-old to the 30-year-old to the 12-year-old to the different things. And, you know, born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, and being a descendant of slaves, we have a lot of mental illness that we have to deal with, because a lot of times trauma and tragedy triggers this illness, right? And then diet, foods and different things perpetuates that illness. And when you come from the inner city, you see a lot of that, the trauma, the diet, things of this nature. So when Mike first called me about it, and I thought I might get a part in it, but he wanted me to actually do the lead, I literally shut down everything to research mental illness, the effects of it. I didn't want to overact it. I didn't want to look like a parody almost, and I wanted people to take it serious. So I talked to people who had it. I watched movies of great actors who portrayed it, read books, and talked to Mike about his story and things of this nature. And then I let God do what he do, which he always does what he does. And you know, I thank God that it was received.
I resented the fact that I had a label, or I guess it was because more of the stigmas that are out here. And going back to the late 80s, it wasn't as much information that speaks to the eradication of the stigmas of mental health. One, I didn't know I had a mental health condition. I just know I hated myself. I hated life. I hated things. And I had to do a balance, because after treatment and understanding life and going through some very difficult times, but yet some very successful times, I think Usman hit on it. And the Africans who came to this country as slaves, and I look at the poverty, and I look at the descendants, I look at the pain, the torture, and yet we're told to be silent. Even when when our grandpops and moms were raped and still had to sit silent in the midst of such tragic conditions. And we see the cyclical effect generations later. And so then we come into this thing of the civil rights movement, and we look at, we're not even looked upon as being full humans and man, and lacking the rights that every other person was given. And so when you look at that, I have to talk beyond just me. I talk more about a people who experienced a common thing. And we all have some attributes of some of that residue or residuals from that horrific time. And with some of us, we were able to cope, others weren't.